I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Vernte.
And we just came from the movie theater seeing Bad Boys for Life. And it was incredible. This is also a no spoiler review, so feel free to watch all the way to the end because we will not spoil anything for you.
No.
Should I go first?
Yeah, you go first.
So this movie completely blew my mind. I didn't expect it to be the story and the action to be so great, especially, you know, realizing that Martin and Will are older. I didn't really know what to expect with what they were going to give us with the action scenes. I feel like they didn't wait too long to give us action scenes. I really appreciated the storyline, some of which you can see in the trailer. They give us a lot of clues to what, you know, where they are now, so to speak. And I think they did a really good job of tying familiar characters with the character development of the new storyline. I think that was awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big Bad Boys fan. I love the Bad Boys franchise. And I will say, out of all three of the Bad Boys movies, this movie had the best story. You know, I absolutely love the story that they told. And, you know, also one concern I had, I was a little concerned about seeing Martin Lawrence getting back into acting. Mm-hmm. And so I was a little nervous about what was his performance going to be like. And man, Martin Lawrence is a straight comedian.
And he's such a good actor. His reactions make everything so believable. You feel like you're there with them.
Yes.
Like you believe everything that's going on based on how he reacts to the situation.
Yes. And this one thing I will say about this movie, when you go in the theater and watch it, there's some parts that will shock you. So you'll be shocked, you'll laugh, you know, some people may even cry. You know, it just depends on how you are, but I'm telling you.
And how much of the franchise you've seen too, because if you're going into this as a person who's never seen a Bad Boys movie, I think I would go as far as to say that it might excite you enough to go back and watch 1 and 2. Yeah. And even if you have seen 1 and 2, I think it'll make you excited enough that if you haven't seen it in a while, if you watch the movie, you're going to want to go back and watch 1 and 2 and possibly watch 3 again.
Yeah.
It was that good.
My wife, she asked me, you know, out of all 3, which one of my favorite. Growing up, I've always liked Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys 2 has always been my favorite. But, you know, now I might have to sleep on it. I may have to go watch it again because I can't.
We probably will watch it again. It's that good.
It's definitely a DVD that I will have on Blu-ray. You know, I will have that on Blu-ray.
High def, for sure.
High def. I mean, that.
The cinematography is beautiful. That's another thing I can say has improved greatly from movies 1, 2, and to now 3. I mean, the rigs that they had to do to get some of these shots and like the foreshadowing that they had to do to make the storyline complete and make you think. I also think that we both, as avid movie watchers of all kinds of movies, I think that we both are movie guessers, meaning that we can usually guess what's about to happen. And I can just tell you that the way that they outlined and mapped this story out, some of the best movie guessers probably won't see it coming.
Right.
So I think y'all will really appreciate the writing is very, they worked really hard on the writing. Yeah. That's for sure.
And also for people that, you know that the first 2 Bad Boy movies were directed by Michael Bay. Michael Bay was not the director of this movie, but you really, if I didn't tell you, you really couldn't tell. Because, you know, one thing about this movie, I was concerned too. I didn't know if we was going to get enough action in the movie, but the movie has a lot of action in it. You don't have to worry about not having enough action and explosives and all that other stuff. But yeah, the directors did a phenomenal job on this movie. I absolutely loved it. Me and my wife, we probably gonna go back and see it.
Absolutely.
I don't know when, but it's gonna happen.
It's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah.
And we were so happy to see it at Alamo Drafthouse, which I don't know if everyone has one near them. I know there's a few in like certain cities, but you know, there's one of those theaters that serves food. But one thing we appreciate about them is that, one, they claim that they keep people away that are going to be talking during the movie, which so far is true. And 2, we appreciate that before the movie, before even the previews, they kind of do little, what would you say? Like little snippets and to remind you of like a backstory of what happened in 1 and 2. And that kind of helps people who might not have seen the movie or haven't seen it in a while kind of catch up.
Right.
And so I think the creativity behind that just makes it even more fun. So I appreciate Alamo Drafthouse for that. So if you haven't been to one of those, you should check it out.
Definitely.
But yeah, overall the movies were, I mean, it was incredible. A lot of surprises, a lot of action. And like Vernte was saying, you know, Michael Bay films are known for those explosions. You know, he directed those Transformers movies that we've seen many times with what's the actor that is in the last two?
Which last two?
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg
and Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, and so, you know, those are very familiar movies, and he's known for his explosions and whatnot. But let me just say, you won't feel like you missed out on it.
No.
Even though he's not directed this one. And honestly, he might even need to tip his hat to them, because I think they did a really good job taking it from him and making it what it is now.
What would you give it? What would you get out of 5? Out of 5. Let's say out of 5.
Okay, I was telling Vernte in the car on the way home, like literally we got here, we talked about it a little bit, and then we're filming a review. I told him, I think to be truly objective and unbiased as somebody who already likes the franchise going into this movie, that I feel like you have to give it 2 ratings. One for someone who may have never seen Bad Boys at all, and then one for people who have been watching it all along, who are very familiar with the characters and everything else they've done. Like, you know, we are big fans of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence in general. So the fact that we love Bad Boys 1 and 2 is not a surprise. The fact that we love
complete series.
Bad Boys 3 is not a surprise. So I feel like we got to be objective, but I'll give you 2 ratings. So I feel like for someone being the big fan, you know, watching Martin and all the other shows, Fresh Prince and all that good stuff, all the other movies Will Smith has done, and the Bad Boys franchise, I think I'd give it at least a 4, if not a 5. I really enjoyed it. The action was amazing. The story was amazing. The acting, did I say acting already?
I believe
Well, the acting was really amazing. It really truly
Everything was amazing.
And then as a reader and someone who has once tried to be a writer, I really admire their writing and character development within one movie. Like when you introduce new characters and develop them within a movie enough that the audience can connect to them and care for them and understand where they're coming from, I think that was excellent writing. So I would say at least a 5. I said 5. I said 4 before. At least a 4, if not a 5.
Okay.
That's for somebody who's very familiar and loves the franchise already. For someone who has never seen the movies, I would probably give it a 3. I mean, I feel like it's action-packed enough. You know, when I think of the movies that are popular today, like Jumanji and things like that, where it's like action and comedy and it's a big hit, I mean, I can't imagine that somebody who loves things like Jumanji or things that are current right now that hasn't seen Bad Boys 1 and 2 would not like it. I'd be very surprised to see someone that likes those kind of comedy action movies not liking this movie. Even if you're a Transformers fan, you know, a Michael Bay fan, and you're like just checking out movies that he directed and you happen to watch like Bad Boys 3, even though he didn't direct it, I still think you would like it. I mean, I genuinely think it's one of those top tier movies, box office blowouts that, you know, people talk about. And I'm sure that they're racking up numbers because this is incredible. It's a great movie. What about you?
I would give it, you said, what was the first one? What was the first one?
So for somebody familiar with the franchise, we're also fans of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence from all their other great work. Okay. So as a big fan of all of that,
as a big fan of the whole franchise, I would give it
out of 5.
It's gotta be 4 out of 5. It's gotta be
4 out of 5 because if you get it perfect, it's not super objective,
right? I
mean, there's always things that you kind of question, which it's a no spoiler review, so we can't say that.
Right.
But we might make another one after we sleep on it where we can talk about that. But I do think that to be the most objective way possible, there are flaws in every movie.
Right.
And so 4 out of 5. So darn near perfect.
Darn near perfect. I give it a 4 out of 5.
What about for someone who hasn't seen Bad Boys, anything?
For somebody that hasn't seen
then they go see this movie.
Bad Boys, it's got to be at least 3 or 4.
That's what I said. That's why I brought up Jumanji, because I feel like even though they weren't in that movie, Martin and Will,
right,
I still feel like those are the kind of movies that are making big box office numbers right now. And so if the key to that is comedy plus action, then they're definitely gonna love this movie. I mean, I don't see how they couldn't.
If you love, like I was listening to an interview that Will Smith did, and he said one thing that Bad Boys does a really good job at is connecting an action movie with comedy. Definitely. And it's really hard to do that. You know, it's hard that it looks, but them being such great actors, they make it look easy. But
And then drama too. Like we gotta remember that Will has worked really hard in his career to have a diverse career. I think he's tried not to be typecast as one character. And so the fact that I feel like there was some drama in this movie and that it was delivered well and received well by the audience, at least in the theater that we were in. And I wouldn't be shocked to see other people say it. And, you know, people are going to have their favorites. That's with any franchise. When we think of some of the movies we've seen recently, like Star Wars and things like that, people are always going to have opinions about what their favorite one is. Yeah. But considering the fact that this came out, what, 17 years after?
25 years from the first one and then 17 from the second one.
Yeah, 17 from the second one. Yeah. And so the fact that it's been so long and they're older, I think people had concerns about, you know, like, I know I had concerns looking at the trailer. I was like, please don't make Martin like a wimp. Like, do not make him wimpy. Do not make him go out like that. Because we love Martin, you know, gain weight, whatever. He's still hilarious. And so I think they did a really good job of not making it cheesy and not making them look wimpy. And not making it look, I didn't want them to make older age look wimpy. Because, I mean, its goal is to get older like them and be successful. So, well, I mean, that was our no spoiler review. I think we better cut it before we start spoiling some stuff for y'all, but go see it if you haven't seen it. If you've seen it, go see it again. And tell us what you think in the comments below and subscribe. We're a little late on saying that, but you know, I feel like if you relate to us, you would have subscribed by now. Yeah. So maybe we will do a spoiler review.
Yeah. You never know.
Thanks for watching. Hope you liked the movie. Bye.